It's time for the Podketeer podcast.
Good morning, Christopher Robin.
Oh, good morning, Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, well, glad to meet you. Name's Tigger. T-I-double-G-R. That spells Tigger.
Now, isn't this a clever disguise?
It's time for the Podketeer podcast with your hosts, Mark Tanner and Melody Clark.
This could be about anything. And if you're like me, you'll wait and see. For I've got curiosity.
Hi! Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. We haven't been anywhere, but you probably have. You'll notice a different background. We're not doing D23 this week. I put a post in the group, which most of you probably saw because it attracted a lot of attention, with a big question mark on it, asking what you would like to change at the park. We got a lot of really good suggestions, some crazy ones and some that just weren't practical. But I did ask you to, no limitations, you can do anything. So, of course, there's going to be some impractical suggestions, which is fine.
Like mine.
I mean, so it just, we'll just, how was your week this week, my dear sister?
Oh, I had a great week. I made reservations for Disneyland.
Yes, my sister and I are going to make a personal appearance. Disney doesn't know anything about it, but we're going to make a personal appearance at Disneyland one day. But unfortunately, my sister's going during the week and I work. But I am going to go after work and meet them at the park. And
we're going to have dinner and all kinds of stuff. And
I'm going to buy them lunch or dinner or whatever the case may be.
Lunch, dinner.
Yeah. So we're going to have fun. And you are all welcome to come by and sit with us, and we'll get a bigger table.
Yeah.
Of course, if all 4,000 of you show up, we're going to have to find another place.
Maybe go over to the Plaza Inn or something.
Yeah, there you go. So we're here to talk about what they should do to Disneyland to fix it, because it does need some tender loving care. TLC, as they say. Nothing drastic. Well, one area does need a little bit of drastic stuff.
It's always been a problem.
And it's, just by the name of it, Tomorrowland. Well, what's the old saying? Tomorrow never comes. Well, it comes a little too quick for Tomorrowland.
And these days
before they get done building anything, it's obsolete.
We can't tell what it's going to look like anymore, so they have to sort of be fluid these days.
Yeah, if you want to see how bad, especially the media is at predicting what's going to happen, look at some of the old TV shows in the 60s, especially Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. That was supposed to be 1977. Anybody see any submarines that look like that? 1977? No.
No undersea creatures taking over our bodies either, thank God.
Well, the problem was with that show is it was done by Irwin Allen.
Yes.
And Irwin Allen also did Lost in Space. Well, what they used to do is whatever the monster of the week was on Lost in Space, to save money, he would take that, hang seaweed on it, and it would be the monster on Lost in Space. And you think I'm kidding? Watch. There's
No,
some
it's
of
true.
those.
I know.
It's the same damn costume, just modified a little bit.
They
You
did
know.
the BBC thing that they used to do with Doctor Who and Blake Seven and Space 1999, and science fiction by itself is always going to seem weird in retrospect. So we have to give Tomorrowland credit for going steampunk early. So they still have a couple of rides that aren't totally
Well, that
untoward.
well, they just to start talking about Tomorrowland, the laser light fixture up on top where the rocket jets used to be. When that first was turned on, when they first threw the switch, I was there the first night that they lit it up, and it was beautiful. All these green lights up in the sky, and it was great. The only people that didn't like it were the pilots trying to land their airplanes at John Wayne Airport.
You'd think they'd have called, you know?
You would have thought that they would have sat down with somebody and figured out whether that was going to be a problem or not. But so it was only operating the only time I saw it was that one night. I never saw it operate again. They did for a while. They kept playing the music because the music was kind of cool. It was like, real loud and stereophonic sound. It was kind of cool. It moved and did stuff. Well, it doesn't even move anymore. It just sits there. So it's time, Disney, to take that thing down and mothball it or tear it up or do something with it. Donate it to a museum. But it makes you look bad for that thing sitting up there. It really does. That thing needs to come down. Okay, when you take that thing down, let's get rid of the People Mover track. We know you're never bringing back the People Mover. We understand that. It's people with disabilities have trouble loading and unloading from it. So because you would have to be able to stop it. And when you stop one car, all the cars stop, and that just wouldn't work. So we understand it needs to go, that the People Mover is not coming back. So please take out the track because it is really an eyesore. Take it out. Boom, gone.
I agree.
After you get rid of that laser light fixture, put the Astro Orbiter up there. That's where it belongs. It'd look cool up there. It would be a much more fun ride if you were that high up. Now, you might have to modify the deck or, something, but I'm sure you can figure out some way to get it up there. Even if you have to build a new one. Fine. The one that's there is not, they just had to shut it down for quite a while to refurbish it. But, put it up there on the platform. That would free up that area in the middle. It would certainly make foot traffic in and out of Tomorrowland much better. It'd be great. You could do something with that space, something magical with that space. That would be great. Okay. Any comments you want to say? Anything?
I agree completely. I did this. For me, the major problem with Tomorrowland is a ride I used to love, but the shell of it's just a shell now, and it's an eyesore, and that's the Carousel of Progress that turned into Bear Jamboree.
It was America Sings.
America Sings, yeah. Thank
Bear
you.
Jamboree was over in
Bear Country, yeah, okay. And I'm not a Disneyland expert like Mark is. I love Disneyland, but and all I know is, America Sings, of course. And of course, there was one death associated with it, and all the grim YouTube videos must bring that poor child up and poor young girl up. And so, turn it into a gift shop or a restaurant or some kind of.
I have an idea for that.
What's that?
I think they should remove the Carousel of Progress. I think they should remove the Pizza Port restaurant, which used to be the Mission to Mars building. I think they should remove the Captain EO Theater, which is just sitting there empty and hasn't been doing anything. I think they should refurbish and enlarge the Tomorrowland Terrace to make up for the Pizza Port restaurant being gone. I think they should fix the Tomorrowland Terrace Theater. But I have a different idea for that Tomorrowland Terrace Theater. There is an audio animatronic show in Walt Disney World called Sunny Eclipse. And it's an alien that is a disc jockey and plays music. A great big alien. And it's really good. It's funny. He plays music. They could repurpose that, we'll leave the one in Florida. We don't want their ride. Build us one similar, or maybe make it a different alien or a robot or something, and have it play music. And what would be good with it being audio animatronic is you could have 100 different variations. So the odds of you sitting down there and seeing the same show you saw last Thursday would be real slim. It would almost be like having a live band there. Now, the expense, you'd have to pay for the music, but you have to pay. I know that that's an expense Disney doesn't like. But, you have an awful lot of music that belongs to you, Disney. Play Disney music. That's
Hello,
fine.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah. Or, I'm sure you can make a deal with some of these people that, okay, at your next concert, you can play Bare Necessities if I could use so-and-so song at my park. So you can make deals without it costing you any money out of your pocket. And that would be really cool. Like I say, it would be like having a live band there again, which I don't know if you're ever going to bring back, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. The idea of live bands. But, okay, so remove the theater, remove Pizza Port, refurbish Tomorrowland Terrace, and fix the stage, and install Sunny Eclipse. And I know this one's going to hurt a lot of people, but get rid of Autopia. It served its purpose. It was great when I was a little kid, but a lot of people don't really want to ride it anymore. So give it that, and that's an awful lot of room. Now, I know you'd probably have to reroute the monorail, which should be fine. You could do that. You've done it a dozen times before. And then use all of that space you just acquired and build us a version of the Tron light cycles like they have in Florida. That would be a great addition. Sitting right next to Space Mountain in there, it would be really cool. You'd still have your big gift shop there. You'd still have your restaurant. You could enlarge Tomorrowland Terrace restaurant to feed the people who used to get fed over at the Pizza Port. You could build another Pizza Port someplace else, over where Starcade used to be. That's still sitting empty. Put it in there. I think that would be a great move to do that. And we're going to go over each land and the changes I would like to see made to each land on different podcasts. So next week we'll talk about Frontierland and what I think they should do to Frontierland. And we're going to go over every land. So be watching the other podcasts if you want to see what's going to happen to your favorite land. Of course, whether they really do it or not is probably not. But you're going to hear my ideas. And so you can yell at me and say, Mark, why did you say to do that? Because I know I'm going to get a lot of people mad at me because I said to take out Autopia. Because I think they should. I really do. Now, I didn't say take out the submarines. I do think they should now, just while we're on Tomorrowland, I do think they should rebuild new submarines for the ride because the current submarines are extremely difficult to get into. I think with today's technology, I think they could build one that was much easier to load and unload from. So look into that. That would be good. I hate to lose the lagoon because that's the most beautiful place for pictures in the whole park right there. And, I don't want to see that go away. But
it's also so refreshing to come around the corner and there's you get smacked in the face by negative ions, Yep.
Beautiful water. Now, while we're going over this, hang on. I had all these pictures that I was going to show and talked about it without showing the pictures. So I'm going to go through the pictures, so you have to look at them. So there's the pizza port that I was talking about. That structure right there is unchanged from when it was Mission to Mars. All they did was paint it red and stick that sign on the front of it.
Yeah.
So, and that rocket, by the way, I've heard people talk about that. Oh, the rocket's still there. That's not the original rocket. The original rocket was much bigger. So that is not it. Now, that'd be fun if they put the rocket back, but the rocket really doesn't make much sense there anymore without the ride. It was there because of the, actually, it was Flight to the Moon originally when they had the rocket there. So,
and if you're going to get a slice of $10 pizza,
$10 pizza.
Oh, is it more now? It was $10 pizza when I was there. No, the slice is $10.
Yeah, it was more than $10 now. But anyway, so I think getting rid of the rocket would be a good idea. I think the rocket has served its purpose. I love Disneyland the way it was, but I can remember it and I have pictures. And I think it's time to move on and to update the park and make it look different.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. Oh, this is also Tomorrowland. The seagulls, the mine seagulls, they were having problems not saying mine anymore. So they took them out to fix them, and when they put them back, they no longer say mine. So I'm not quite sure why that is, if that's some kind of political correctness thing or what the purpose of them no longer saying mine, but maybe it's just they haven't fixed it all the way yet. So we'll see.
Probably.
Now, this is the building that I was saying, this one needs to go. It doesn't turn anymore. And it's for all intents and purposes empty. They use it for storage and a break room for the cast members, but it really needs to go. And that needs to stay, except for the theater in the front. That one needs to go. Oh.
Those aren't going to go anywhere.
Yes, these are not going anywhere. Not at $70.
Not at $70, no.
There's plastic. They have a ceramic version of this that's real pretty, and it's less than the plastic one, which I don't understand that. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me.
There'd be a lot of breakage with that.
And there's the submarines. They should change the submarines. They need to be changed. And and like I was saying, there's the Astro Orbiter, which needs to move. It needs to go back where the rocket jets used to be. Because you're sitting there at the restaurant, which is supposed to be a whole different era, and you look out and there's this thing.
Weird looking robot thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that needs to move. Okay, so we talked about that. And I used my pictures.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I'm sorry. I went before the horse. Anyway,
Okay.
what's up now?
The cart before the horse.
Yeah, thank you.
And the pictures on the back of us. I don't know where Melody got her picture. This one, I got it from Dave Land. I don't know if any of you are familiar with DaveLandWeb.com. He has gathered a bunch of other people's pictures and placed them on his website and pasted his name on them. Now that bothers me because this picture doesn't belong to DaveLandWeb.com. This picture belongs to the Walt Disney Company. It doesn't belong to him. It would be the same as if I patched the name of our group on that. And I have to admit, a couple of pictures that I put on the group, I did put Magic Keyholder group on. But then I got to thinking, hey, I'm doing the same thing that DaveLandWeb.com does. So I stopped doing it. So you notice that the newer ones do not have Magic Keyholder group, even though I did substantial Photoshop editing to those pictures. They're not the original picture at all, but they are Disney artwork. I did not draw them myself. And even if I did, they're Disney characters.
Right.
Oh, one thing to bring up. I am working with an artist to create an enamel pin for our group.
Yay.
And it's going to be based on the public domain movie, Plain Crazy, so that Disney doesn't sue me. I don't think they would. Usually, if you're doing something to promote Disneyland, they kind of leave you alone. But I don't want to take any chances. So I'm working with an artist. He's done a couple of versions I wasn't thrilled with. So he's continuing to work on it. And then I'm going to Photoshop in the text. And I've got a couple of places to send out and get a quote for the pins. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask for a donation if you want the pin. Because they're going to be a whole lot more than the buttons. So let me know what you think. If you would be interested in it, I'll charge you whatever they charge me. You know, I'm not going to make any profit off it, but if they charge me $3 to make the pin, that's what it'll cost you to get one. So this is not going to be a profit-making venture. So
not even.
So everybody likes pins. So and hopefully this one's going to look cool. I'll make it probably about yay big, something like that. Like most of the pens are. Like, what do I have? I have a pen here somewhere. What did I do with it? Yeah, about like that pen, somewhere in that range of size. That's the opening day pen for Cars Land. One of these days, I'm going to have a contest to give that away, I think.
There you go.
It's a reasonably rare pin, I would think, since it was only for opening day.
Probably.
So, let's see.
So, and my background was taken from an article that ran this morning on MSN about changes in Disneyland. And they claim this is an aerial photograph of Main Street taken in the first 5 years. So
I don't think it's an aerial picture, because if it was an aerial picture, the airplane was like about 30 feet off the ground going down Main Street.
I think they mean from I'm using probably the wrong word, from, a higher building.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's to show that change has always been part of Disneyland. In fact, I think Walt himself said it would never be finished. So it's going to keep changing, and we're all changing too. So anyway,
Not for the better.
Yeah, somewhat, sometimes another. Now, we're going to talk about music in the park?
Yes.
Yeah. What I was going to say is that's always been a part of my experience at Disneyland. But my group of friends used to follow a band, all of the members of which are now gone except for one. There's one remaining. A group called Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids. And they used to play quite often in Disneyland. And we would go solely to see them. Yep. So that is a major draw for a lot of people to Disneyland. And I know a group that includes the family member of a friend of mine, the Pentatonics, the a cappella group that was quite big a few years ago. My friend Lisa is Avi Kaplan's aunt, and they played quite often at Disneyland and were a big draw. So
I used to see them in California Adventure, right there at that train gift shop.
Right.
They used to have tables out there, and Pentatonics would sing right out in front of the train gift shop.
Yeah, and they were in one of the parades at Disneyland, I know. So
I saw them at D23 also. They were at one of the D23s.
They've always been a big draw. Since Avi left, less so, because he's just he's a basso profundo. It's very hard to get a singer with that kind of range. But
Disney used to have a wide range of music types there.
Yes.
One of my favorite groups is a group called Alturas, and they play South American music. And I first saw them playing in Adventureland. They used to have a stage up on top of the bazaar, the Adventureland Bazaar, whatever it was called. The place used to sell the rubber snakes. Now they use it for stroller storage. And up on top of there, they had a stage, and all tourists would play up there on the stage as people walked by. They stopped doing it because what it did is it caused a traffic problem, because the people would stand there and watch them, and unfortunately the area they were standing in was the walkway to get into Adventureland. So it wasn't, somebody didn't think about the logistics when they did what they did. But so what they did, they moved them, and they used to play out in downtown Disney over by ESPN Zone. They used to put a stage out there. Now they have built a stage there, but all they play is groups that like volunteer, and Disney doesn't have to pay them.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah, so quality of the music out there is very
Suspect.
iffy. I mean, there's been a couple that have been real good, but there's been a few that were garage bands. That's what they are. They're garage bands.
Well, so was what's his name? The poor little fellow who killed himself from Washington. He was a garage band. His band was a garage band. Nirvana. Thank you. And my niece is listening. They were a garage band, and there have been plenty of we have so many Southern California people who started out at Disneyland and the Osmonds, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
So, and music has always been a part. Now, do we have any examples of music that?
Yes, we do. Now, this particular band I'm going to show right now. All right, now I'm going to tell you something before we get started. YouTube will take down any video like this podcast that plays copyrighted music. Now, they have a rule that if you stay under 10 seconds, usually they'll let it slide. So that's what I have done here. So you will not hear much more than that of any song you recognize, because they've got a computer listening for this song, and if they find that our podcast is going to go, so we don't want to do that. So that's why I didn't play more of the music. And I think most of you understand that, but I just want you to realize that. Now, just a week or two ago, at one of the D23 nights at Disneyland, Disneyland had this band playing at Tomorrowland Terrace. And they had not been there for, I think they said 7 years. They had been gone. Now, here's one of their performances at California Adventure. So let me play this for you.
Hi guys, we're a band called Suburban Legends. It's a pleasure to be here in DCA. I hope everyone's having a great night. Just to let you know, we aren't Earth, Wind, and Fire. We're a band called Suburban Legends.
The music you just heard was a pre-recorded background music.
That's right! Ladies and gentlemen, and on drums,
Voted most popular drummer in high school.
make some noise for Ryan Brown on bass! Make some noise for the horn section!
So that was Suburban Legends. And I just wanted to give you, especially those of you who have just started going to Disneyland, to understand what we have lost. Because you would go, and there wouldn't just be this occurring, but there'd be one over in a couple of different places in Disneyland. So you could see 3 or 4 concerts. Now, they were mini concerts, but you could see 3 or 4 concerts at Disneyland a night, especially during the summer. And it was great. I mean, it made it well worth the money to go to Disneyland just for the music. Like I said, a lot of times I would go just to see somebody who was playing there.
Same thing here.
Now here's like Melody said, Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids. Now, I didn't originally see them at Disneyland. I originally saw them at Knott's Berry Farm.
Well, so did I. But
they used to play at the Good Time Theater, which was the John Wayne Theater, and now it's the, I don't know, the Walter Knott Theater now. So, which it probably should have been to begin with. I mean, he built the damn place.
Damn straight. Well, that's the thing of it. It's music has always been a part, and if you look at speaking specifically of Disneyland, they do it with a number of aspects. They have great merch that you can only buy inside the parks. They have wonderful food that is, gourmet quality that can only be purchased in the parks. And they should bring back the music that could only be heard or could principally be heard inside the parks. Now, it could be because of the copyright issues and all of that, but that certainly they can even create their own homegrown groups and nurture that and bring them in. And the why that can't be done, I'm not clear.
Well, I can tell you why. And his name is Stan Freeze.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Stan Freeze is the one that developed the concept for the Mad Tea Party. He's the one that, well, I'm not going to say he developed the concept, but he put the band together.
Yeah.
And he was a musical director for Disneyland. And I don't know if that was his exact title, but that's what he was.
Okay.
And his son, Jason Freeze, played for the Goo Goo Dolls, played the saxophone. And Stan retired. And after Stan retired, the music went right down the tubes. Oh, pardon me, my nose itches. It really has, well, it's destroyed the musical reputation of Disneyland. There is no music at Disneyland. And the funny thing is that the exact same time it happened at Disneyland, it also happened at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah.
Now, Knott's Berry Farm got wise and brought it back.
Yeah.
Because they recognized the drop-off in attendance. That was the difference. Disneyland didn't see a drop-off in attendance, so they figured the music didn't matter. But I think if they, you get over to California Adventure, for instance, in the evening, over Hollywood Street there, that area is dead. There's nothing going on there. Dead. When the Mad Tea Party was playing, that was the place to be. I mean, it was hopping. And it's really sad. Speaking of that, let me play you a little Mad Tea Party.
Sounds good.
By the way, this was the very last performance of the Mad Tea Party.
But I white gold. This was
Sorry, that's all I can play.
It's okay. I can go listen to it over on YouTube. So,
but there's nothing like this going on at Disneyland anymore.
yeah.
It was worth going to Disneyland just to watch them. Now, any of you who happen to go to the D23 Ultimate event over at the Honda Center got to see the Mad Tea Party because they played an intro concert at D23. And it looked like there were a couple band members changed, but Alice and Mad Hatter were some of the same people that played in the Tea Party. They had different Alices and different Mad Hatters, by the way. Not too many. I think there was 3 different Mad Hatters, and I think there was 2 Alices. And the Alices were both very good. The Mad Hatters were good. I kind of liked the one that was he also was one of the Dapper Dans. I forget his name. No, I don't think I ever knew his name.
We shouldn't forget the Dapper Dans and the, what were they called? The Young Americans? When we were very young.
Oh, no, the Kids of the Kingdom.
Yeah, Kids of the Kingdom, yes. And all of that
I knew the drummer that played with the Kids of the Kingdom, a fellow by the name of Jim Eskew. All of the drums you hear in Adventureland were him, and he created the music track for Paris Disneyland.
Huh?
And it's funny how I met him. I was over at the car wash, getting my car washed, as you can imagine. What a silly thing to be doing at the car wash. I was getting my car washed. And I was sitting there next to this gentleman in an ECV. And my phone rang, and it played the Mickey Mouse March, because at that time, my daughter was a cast member at Disneyland. So I answered the phone, and we were chatting, and, how's it going at the park? And we were talking about her day at work. And so I hung up, and the guy in the ECV, he talks to me, he says, your daughter work at Disneyland? And I said, yeah. She's a Jungle Boat skipper. He says, oh, I used to work for Disney. And then he went into about a half hour spiel of all the stuff he used to do. That he played the drums for Kids of the Kingdom and so forth. He has since passed away, I'm afraid to say. He had a stroke before I met him, and he had a hard time talking. But a great fella with a tremendous career.
Yeah.
And like I said, fortunately, he's no longer with us. But I got to meet him. So at least in here, as long as I'm alive, he's still alive. So,
well, look at it this way.
Huh?
Look at it this way. We were little kids when they were playing, so we're not little kids anymore.
No.
So they must all be.
But I saw the Kids of the Kingdom play there. I saw the Osmonds. The Osmonds performed with the Kids of the Kingdom a couple of times. I saw the Grassroots play at Disneyland. I went with my girlfriend back in 19.
Yeah.
And well, I'll tell you a little story. We were standing in line to get into the park. We were there. I had purchased special tickets for the Valentine's Day party at Disneyland. And performing that night was the Grassroots and this group called the Friends of Distinction. They did a song called Grazing in the Grass. You remember that song?
Vaguely, yeah.
You can dig it, and I can dig it, they can dig it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dig it. That was the song.
Okay.
Sung much better than I just did, by the way.
Okay.
And so they were also there. And while we were standing in line, this young lady stole the tickets out of my hand and took off running. She just ripped them out of my hand and took off. Well, I was young and thin and athletic at the time, so she did not get away. I caught her, grabbed her, she fell, I fell, and the next thing I knew, this big giant security guard had a hold of me. So I explained the situation. I said, look, she stole my tickets. And so he said, stay here, wait just a minute. So apparently they were looking at film, or I don't know if they had video at the time. I don't think so. I think it was probably film.
Probably.
So they had footage of the area, and someone saw what happened, and they said, okay. And they took her off with security and gave me my tickets back. Then I had to find my girlfriend in this gigantic crowd. That was with Diana Hauser.
Yes, I know it was Diana.
And I finally found her, and we went in the park and had a good time, considering. And then when we left, I couldn't find my car.
Old Disneyland problems, yes.
Yeah.
Our mother used to.
My car was parked in California Adventure. That's where it would be now.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. That used to be the old parking lot.
Yes. So
our mother used to put a little, various types of things to identify our car from a distance.
So luckily, the security guard was nice enough and put the two of us in his golf cart and drove every aisle till we finally found the car. So after that happened, I make it a point to take a photograph of wherever I park. So I'm sure I can figure out where I parked at.
Well, this time we're staying in a hotel across the street, so
you should not have a problem.
Should not have a problem, yeah.
Except for the fact you're paying $40 a night to park your car.
Yeah,
you
$20.
do know that, right?
Yeah, $20 a night.
Oh, only 20?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cheap. Most of them charge 40.
That's why we're staying at the Grand Legacy, I think it's called. So
good deal. Well, here's another band. Back to the bands. Yeah. I don't know who this band was. I didn't see this, but this is the kind of stuff that went on.
It's the triple, triple cowbell. There we go. Not the dread. No, not the dreaded triple cowbell. Anything but that. We gotta have our percussion section. So let me hear the percussion. Let me hear the cowbell. Come on, just like this. Come on. Yeah.
Handing out musical instruments.
Sounds pretty good. All right, tambourines. Hold them
Tomorrowland.
Oh, all right. Now they're handing out musical instruments. The bad thing with Streamyard is whenever you were playing a video, it starts back to forward.
This one's kind of cool. Let's do that. All right, we got one last one.
But here you see they're handing
This
out
one's kind of big. I don't know. We might need the adult for this one. Come on out here. Come on out here. It's the triple, the dreaded triple cowbell. There we go.
They don't usually put their name
No, not the dreaded triple cowbell. Anything but that. We gotta have our percussion section.
So if anybody knows
So let me hear the percussion. Let me hear the cowbell. Come on, just like this. Come on. Yeah, come on. Hey, it sounds pretty good. All right, tambourines, hold them up. Here we go. Shake, shake, shake. Yeah, tambourine team. Let's do it. All right, we want you to help us all through this song.
So that was that. They didn't really play any recognizable songs, so that's why I grabbed that one.
Yeah, that's good. Was that the Tomorrowland stage?
Yeah, that was Tomorrowland Terrace. They are having mechanical problems with that. But I'm hoping when they add the Sunny Eclipse thing to it at my instructions that that they will fix the stage.
You must listen more.
This last video is of my all-time favorite at Disneyland. I used to see him every time he performed. I saw him, and his name. He still performs. So if he's performing someplace, go see him. He's worth seeing. His name is Scott Bruce. His first name is spelled with only one T. It's S-C-O-T Bruce. So here he is.
I need to know. Do we have any Elvis fans out there? Oh, like I said, I had a feeling. Because whenever I get around Elvis fans, I get all shook.
Again, sorry I had to cut it off, but the video is on YouTube if you want to see it. That's where I got this from. So
I must say he somewhat resembles Steve Martin doing an Elvis impression, but his music is great.
Well, I always thought he looked more like what's that guy's name that does the he did the Bubba Kahotep, and he's on Burn Notice.
Oh, yeah.
Bruce Campbell.
Yes.
Bruce Campbell.
Yeah,
I always thought he looked more like Bruce Campbell than he did Elvis.
Well, none of the Elvis impersonators ever
The
really.
only one that should have been an Elvis impersonator was my wife's nephew, Stanley.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He was the spitting image of Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
We all tried to talk him into becoming an Elvis impersonator, but he didn't want to have it. And unfortunately, we lost him way too young in life. He was in his 20s. Yeah. But yeah, he could have made a lot of money just standing on a street corner doing photos with people. Yeah. He used to be a guy that used to do that on the walkway between the Tropicana and the Excelsior hotels in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And he used to dress like Elvis, and he had the sunburst guitar like Elvis had in Love Me Tender. And he would take pictures with you for $20. So
yeah,
Stanley could have made 11 just doing that.
I know. I keep talking to our grandson. He actually looks a great deal like Julian Lennon, but I think he could probably sneak in as John Lennon too. Anyway, getting back to Disneyland.
Well, Julian Lennon could have gotten rich. I don't know if you recall this. Not too long after his dad was murdered, he was approached by some music promoter who had gotten an okay from Ringo, George, and Paul. And all Julian had to do was say yes and agree to perform with the band in his dad's place. And he could have gotten back then $1 million, which was back then, that was a lot of money back then.
Yes, yes.
This promoter had offered each one of the band members $1 million.
Well, actually,
He
with the
refused.
story I heard, and I have heard that story, and I used to run the Paul McCartney listserv, as Mark knows. And the story I heard was that they got the okay from George and from Ringo, and they went to McCartney, and he said, "I'll say yes if Julian says yes." And that's usually what Paul will say is, if the other three say yes, I'll do it. And they'd gotten yes from the other two, and then they went to Julian, and Julian says, "I don't want to sing my father's music." And then McCartney said no.
Now, what's the other Lennon?
Sean Lennon.
Now, I understand Sean was willing to do it, but they didn't think. There was something about Sean doing it, but they didn't want Sean. They wanted Julian.
Yeah, they wanted Julian. Well, Sean he does not have the depth of voice that Julian does. Anyway.
Of course, Julian looked like John.
Yeah, and Sean looks like a Japanese John Lennon, you know. But he's a wonderful singer. He's really good. And a good friend of Paul McCartney's son, James. So.
Did he acquire Yoko's voice?
No. Thank God. Anyway, back to Disneyland.
Yep.
Well, I know
we're approaching the end of the show, yes, so let's. Yes. So, what do you want to say?
I just wanted to say that I'm really looking forward to Disneyland, and I only had one day the last time I went, and then we had to go home right afterwards. So we have a much better 3-day park experience, 2 days at Disneyland and 1 day at DCA,
okay,
which I've never gone.
And Larry's not going.
Larry, my husband, refuses to go. He does not like theme parks.
Okay, so it's just going to be you and Laura.
Me and our niece, yeah. And we're going to go, and Laura and I like a lot of the same things. She's a lot like our sister. She likes shopping and eating. So unfortunately, I have the gastric bypass, so I can only eat small amounts. But
well, real quick,
yes.
Let me mention I took notes of the top. Where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. How do you like that? The top 10 things people wanted to change at Disneyland.
Yes, let's do that.
So I'll mention that. Okay, they want a separate magic keyholder entrance, so we don't have to stand in that big damn line. They want to eliminate reservations.
I think that was mainly a COVID issue anyway. So
it was supposed to be. They want to bring back the Fast Pass. They want to eliminate lightning lanes. If you have Fast Pass, you don't really need lightning lanes. They want to bring back the original DAS system, which is the Disability Pass. They want to eliminate blackout days, which I agree with that. They want to lower prices, but I don't think that's going to happen. But they want to bring back the People Mover. They want to bring back live bands, and I certainly agree with that. And number one, the most requested, is to fix Tomorrowland. So, hey.
That's what needs to be done.
This show.
And while you're at it, bring back Monsanto's Mighty Microscope.
You know, there were several people that want to do that. Well, if they do, in fact, move Star Tours to Galaxy's Edge, which has been discussed, they'll have the room.
Yeah.
And, you know, the screen from Mighty Microscope is still there.
Yes.
It's changed. It's not the snowflake anymore, but the glass screen that you walk under is still there. So,
I was a nerdy kid, so I miss it terribly.
well, I liked it because Paul Frees
Yeah.
did the voiceover.
voice.
He's the one that did the Foolish Mortals speech at the Haunted Mansion. Also, he was the main guy for voices at
The
that
voice
time
of
at
Disneyland.
Disneyland.
Yeah.
Him and oh God, I always forget his name. Country western singer did Carousel of Progress. He was the main voice in Carousel of Progress. I can't remember his name, but I have to write these things down ahead of time.
Tell me about it. Well, we're at the top of the hour, my brother.
Yes, we certainly are. So we're going to let you go and play our closing doodad, and we will be back next Sunday. I hope you watch. And we put a lot of effort. We put a lot of effort and many, many hours of preparation into this show.
You can tell.
Hope you like it. So take care, and we'll see you next week.